All right. Excellent. Well, Richard, welcome. It's been a while, Richard. Good to see you. Leon, excellent. Duke is ready. Glenn's tuned up. Chris is in from Calgary, my hometown. Excellent. And James from Syracuse, New York State. Welcome, everybody. I appreciate you tuning in tonight. Hey, Elias. Susan's here. Erica, excellent. All right, everybody. All right, so tonight we are doing the guitar workout. So please expand the description below this video. There's a PDF with some tabs that that's hilarious. Richard, I just saw your comment. You are too funny. We have a PDF down here with some tabs. All right, let's give some shout outs here. We've got Columbia, John in Columbia. Excellent. Jerry's ready to go. Charlie from Montreal. Richard from Ottawa. Excellent. Chris from Madeira. Craig, Jessica, Missouri, Duke's in Missouri. Jim is here from Aurora, Ontario, as always. Jim representing. Russell from Colorado. Excellent. Glenn, Travis from Virginia. Escondido, Sentinel, 1955. Excellent. New Hampshire in the house. Ian, welcome. Wow. Thank you, everybody. St. Louis, check this out. Palm Springs. All right. Excellent, excellent. You know it. We got Kelowna. We got these Canadians. Jessica, shout out. All right, everybody. Terry King from Vegas. Brian from Toronto. I super appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. We're going to do some playing, okay? Let's start with the warm-ups. Oh, by the way, for those of you joining in for the first time or visiting us for the first time, we do a little bit of a lesson. In this case, I do this guitar workout thing where I provided you tabs. Click it open just in the description here. And we go through a bunch of just exercises and things, and I'll kind of teach some stuff a little bit. And in the in-between weeks, I'll pick a topic and teach it to the best of my ability. Richard, I just painted it, man. It's the same room. We up the production value. Some of us from the Guitar Tricks Full Access Plus alumni in the house tonight, which I appreciate. So check out the tabs, and also we will, with the time left in the hour, any guitar-related question, put it in the comments. I will run down the comments and try my best to answer your questions. All right, excellent. Thank you, Charlie. I appreciate the kind words. UK in the house. Excellent. All right. So let's do a little bit of a warm-up. Okay, there's a download. Can someone just 100% confirm that in the description below this video, there it says get the PDF for tonight's lesson, and it's a download link. It should come up. Okay, it is there. Excellent. Just check it out right below here. Okay. We always start off with a warm-up. Exercise 1. This one, I'm going to go to A major. I'm going to start there anyway. 3-note per string, major scale. And this particular scale pattern is easy to remember because it's 3 sets of symmetrical shapes. Okay, so if you look at the low string and the 5th string, right? Low E and A strings. I'm starting on A, so I've got 5th, 7th, and 9th. 5th, 7th, and 9th. So if we're starting on A, there you go, the first 6 notes in the scale, right? And then when you get to the D and G strings in between, the 4th and 3rd string, okay? You come into the 6th fret and then the 7th and 9th fret. Okay, so that's symmetrical. That's symmetrical. And then up on the top 2 strings, you sort of have to just positionally move your index finger up now to the 7th position, 7th, 9th, 10th fret on those strings. Okay, so this is an easy one to remember. This is a major scale pattern. Okay. Oh, yeah, I apologize. I guess I don't know how the app works to get the PDF. So sorry about that. There is a link if you're on a desktop machine, or I don't even know if it works on an iPad. Have no idea. But anyway, okay. So instead of just the chromatic workout, why not, or warm up, chromatic warm up, why not warm up? Can't talk tonight. Instead of the chromatic warm-up exercises, you know, the spider exercises, all 4 fingers, why not just warm up with a scale pattern? This one's a great one to remember, okay? 3 notes per string, major scale. So you can take it to the top. And in fact, sort of just to accentuate the feel of this a little bit, we're in groups of 3. We're doing triplets, okay? So and going at it a little bit slower, okay? So a cool thing to do here to practice a little bit is to dig in on the first of every 3, okay? So that first pick. Okay, I'm sort of really making it obvious. You don't have to quite dig in that hard, but so that you feel that pulse of every group of 3, right? Right? No matter how fast or slow you're going to do it. Now, check it out. Here's the other tricky thing, is that we want to practice alternate picking. We want to stick with alternate picking as we go up and down the strings. And because we have 3 notes per string, you're going to end up on an odd number of picks per string, okay? So it's going to be something extra you're going to have to practice, because the tendency is to go down, up, down, and then follow with another downstroke to the next string. And I want you to resist that urge and continue with the upstroke while changing to the next string. So down, up, down, up, down, up, okay? So what happens is every 2 strings, every 2 sets of 3, you're going to wrap around and move to the next string on a downstroke. But the next string after that is going to be going on an upstroke. So this is actually really valuable to try and practice. Right? I'm going down, up, down, down, up. Oh, sorry. Down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay? Right? Let's look at the fingering, okay? It's a little bit of a stretch, especially on those lower strings at first. You're going to want to go index, middle, pinky, okay? Same thing on the middle strings. Index, middle, pinky. Okay? And then it's going to go index, ring, pinky on the top 2. So you're going to go. All right, major scale patterns. So just depending on where you start, okay, your root note is the lowest. It turns out to be the lowest note of the pattern. Okay, so I started on an A. This is A major. Let's take it from the top. 1, 2, triplet, triplet. All right, that takes us to halfway through this particular exercise, and then we're going to move up 1 fret and play it coming back down. Okay, so the idea is that we can play this just like we play those spider warm-up exercises where you're just moving up one fret. You know, when you get to the top, move up one fret. When you get back down to the bottom, move up one fret, etc. And do this for several minutes just to warm up. So if I do it a little bit faster just to illustrate this. Okay, so that's the idea. Now, when we're first getting this under our fingers, go as slow as you need to go. It's way more important to do this slowly than it is to you know, try and play it fast. Okay, we got to get it under our fingers first, and we got it. There's a lot of things we're practicing here. We're internalizing a 3-note per string major 3-note per string major scale pattern. Okay, we're practicing our alternate picking, particularly when it's challenging changing strings on an upstroke. Okay, that's kind of difficult at first, so you want to go slow with this. All right, I have an alternate exercise for this, 1B. So it's the next line down. You'll see 1B warm up 3-note per string major scale sequence. This time what I've done is taken that pattern and not played it just simply up and down. I am taking each string and going first note, last note, middle note. That's the sequence I'm choosing to play this scale pattern. It's a lot more challenging. This is what it sounds like. Etc., etc. So this adds a whole other layer of challengingness, if that's a word, to the exercise. Okay, so the screen's reversed, so I'm not used to it. So the one that I'm seeing anyway. Okay, so just another variation of a warm-up. Okay, so take that first one first and get it internalized and under your fingers and get it flowing nice. Then tackle 1B. Okay, right on, Chris. Appreciate it. That's funny. Okay, there's your warm-ups. Okay, why not practice a tried and true I keep saying that, major scale. I'm combining it into one word. Major scale 3-note per string pattern. All right, nice and easy. Number 2, we're just going to do some strumming in 3/4. This is a very simple strumming pattern that you can use when the time signature is 3/4. So we're going to be counting 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I've chosen to use some power chords here. The first power chord's a D power chord, 5th fret of the A string, 7th fret of the D and G strings. Okay. I'm going to talk about a few things to practice here. First one, obviously, is just we want to get this strumming pattern under our fingers. It's a very simple strumming pattern that works in 3/4 time. So it's going to be down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and. Okay, that's the idea here. And you can throw in what I've done with the second bar is just to throw in whenever you want. Just throw in a chord change. And so I'm just moving that same shape down to B power chord. For those of you unfamiliar with what a power chord is, it's a root and a 5th. And in this case, we have the higher root, an octave up. So it's really just 2 notes in the chord. The simplest form of this chord is just to play the 2 notes, the root and the 5th above. Okay, a lot of times we add in that pinky on the 7th fret there for this chord, for example, on the 3rd string to thicken it up a little bit, right? All right, so down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. 1, 2, and 3, and 1, 2, and 3, and. Okay, we're keeping those downstrokes right on the 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then just those eighth notes in between is where those upstrokes come in, nice and evenly placed, right? Now, you might notice that I've got some wider strumming action going on here. And in order for this to work, you've got to do some fret hand muting, because if you don't, there's the difference. All right, so what have we got going on the left hand here to make sure that these other strings that we're not using, that's right, helter skelter, good one. What am I doing? So the first thing I'm doing is when I fret the root note of the chord, 5th fret of the 5th string, I have that just raised up just a little bit more. And I've got the tip of my finger resting against the low string. Very effective in muting that string, okay? Okay. I also, if I wanted to, I could just curl my middle finger around there and just rest it on there for double measure if I wanted to. Right? The rest of this is I'm making sure that my fingers are curled not outwards, but sort of a little more flat, so that they are resting on the top strings, not flat enough that they're pressing them down, but raised enough that it's muted. Now I can strum all the strings. Right? Nice, big, wide, relaxed strums, and only have those 3 notes ring out. Okay? So these are really important concepts for being able to strum stuff and have certain chord voicings that mute other strings, because it can get messy. And sometimes we want that. If you're the Beatles playing Helter Skelter, you want that sort of messiness if that's what you're going for. But if you want it to be a little more clean, you've got to position those fingers so that, okay, those don't ring out. Cool? Everybody kind of understands that? So I'm just going to run through the chord changes a few, and here we go. Is it okay to use your index to mute? Yes, that's actually what I'm using. That's mostly what I'm using. I think I said the middle finger, you could do that, but if you just, sort of the way that you fret the 5th string, Glenn, and just rest it against the low string, that's a lot of times all that's needed to do that. Okay? Cool. All right, so just a real simple way to strum in 3/4. Once you get used to that strumming pattern, it works really well if it's a fast 3/4, like. Right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? So, nice little exercise there. Exercise 3. Still doing some strumming exercises, but what I am doing is switching to 16th note strums. So, the frugal inventor, why not 4/4? This is what we're going for right now in exercise 3. I thought I'd throw in the 3/4 because I think it came up. I don't know if it was last week, a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about strumming, and we were talking a lot about 4/4 and not really anything in 3/4. So I thought, throw it in there just for something different. But in this case, Exercise 3, we are back in 4/4. We're going to use 16th note strums. These ones are a little more challenging. And also 16th note rhythms are difficult to count as you're doing them. So what I recommend is that, what's really helpful is to sort of, if you can look at the tab and look at the upper staff for the rhythm, where it shows you the downs and ups. By the way, in the tab, if you got that staple looking box thing, that's a downstroke. And when you've got the arrow pointing down, that's an upstroke. So what we've got here is down, down, up, down, 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 up, right? So let's see if we can figure this one out. All right. First of all, the chord shape is an F major 7 chord. Get the index finger on the first fret of the second string, middle finger, second fret of the third string, and then ring and pinky, third fret of the A and D. Okay, so once again, we don't want to hit the low E string, so maybe just sort of position that ring finger just so that's getting a little bit of flesh right there, right? Okay. So let's talk a little bit about the rhythm. I'm talking about 16th notes here. So for every beat in the bar, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. So for every beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, there's going to be 4 strums. It's subdivided into 4 subdivisions. That's a down, up for each time. So it's 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3 E and a, 4 E and a. Okay, so I get my F major 7 chord. If I did it just all of these as 16th note strums, 1 E and a, 2 E and a, 3, 4. But we are only strumming certain accents in this particular exercise. So we've got the first beat is just a downstroke, and we don't do any more for that beat. The second beat is the downstroke off the top and an upstroke right at the end. So it's going to go like this. 1 E and a, 2 E and a. Once again, 1 E and a, 2 E and a. So like it, Mr. Daniel. I like it. So down, down, up. We get to the third beat, and we're holding over that upstroke into the next beat, into the 3. Okay, and then right as the next upstroke after the 3, which would be 3 E and right? 3 E is an upstroke. You're hitting the next upstroke. So it's going to be down, down, up, down. There's a downstroke right after that second upstroke. Down, down, up, down. And then the last one is down, down, up. So 4 E and up. Takes a little bit of time to kind of get used to these 16th note strums a little bit. So what I recommend is to get a piece of paper and just like mark off 16 ticks, 4 sets of 4 ticks, and go through and just circle which ones you're going to strum the chord with and figure out whether it's a downstroke and an upstroke. Okay? Now, the key to having good timing, especially with 16th note strums, Creek's on here. Right on, man. Good to see you, dude. You want to keep this going. even if you're not strumming the strings, okay? 1E and a 2E and a down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Okay, do you see what I'm doing there? I'm keeping this going, and I'm just going to strum the strings where it's notated, where I want those strums to happen. This 16th note, this particular 16th note strum pattern is used in tons of songs. Okay, so you might recognize it. Mr. Daniel recognizes it in post-black metal songs, but I'm talking about all sorts of acoustic songs, pop songs, rock songs. It's in there. Okay. Second bar, we change chords, and it goes to the C major 7 chord, which is a lot easier to fret. 3rd fret of the A string, 2nd fret of the D string, and then top 3 strings are open, right? So if you happen to go from the F major 7 to the C major 7, you really only have to move a couple fingers off and then just one finger down a string set, right? From the G string to the D string there. That would be the quickest way to kind of go back and forth on this. Let's talk a little bit about the chords themselves. Major 7 chords, generally speaking, okay? And this is going to go to Richard's question about why is it a B? Shouldn't it be B flat? Okay? We need to talk about what the formula is for a major 7th chord. There are 3 types of 7th chords. There's a major 7th, minor 7th, and dominant 7th chords. And all 3 of these have different formulas on how we figure out how to spell the notes in the chord. For a major 7th chord, well, for any 7th chord, first of all, let's back up a little bit. For any major or minor chord, we've got 3 notes that we need, a root, 3rd, and a 5th, right? For a major chord, we've got a major 3rd. For a minor chord, we've got a minor 3rd. That's the only difference between a major and a minor chord, okay? The roots and 5ths are the same. The 3rd is going to determine whether it's a major chord or minor chord. When we start talking about 7th chords, we add a 4th note into the chord. And you guessed it, it's going to go root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. Okay? Now, just like the 3rd in a chord can be a major or a minor, the 7th can be a major or minor. So that gives us a lot of combinations of different types of 7th chords. So hence, we've got 3 7th chords that we use. Okay? So we've got, for a major 7th chord, root, major 3rd, 5th, major 7th. Okay? So if we think about that for a second, and let's go back to C, C major 7. What is that going to be? Okay, so root's going to be C, right? We go up the major scale to the 3rd. It's a major 3rd in the major scale. That's an E note. Okay, so we've got a C and an E. Okay, then we're going to go up the scale, the 4th, the 5th. Okay, here's the 5th. That's a G note. Okay, C, E, G. That's our root, major 3rd, 5th. So what is our 7th? Well, we ended off on G. That's the 5th. The 6th is going to be A, and the major 7th is going to be B. Okay? So if we add a B to this chord, that gives us the major 7. And this particular voicing just adds another E note on top in a higher octave. Does that make sense, Richard? Now Now, if you're thinking B flat, that would make the 7th flat or minor. And that is the formula for a dominant 7th chord. So that would be the cowboy C7, the Beatles chord, right? Okay, now I've got a B flat in the chord instead of the B, okay? So that's what you got to watch out for when we've got a major 7, okay, right? If the chord's if it's got major in the name, it's that formula, major 3rd, major 7. If it doesn't have a major or a minor in the name, then it's assumed to be a dominant chord, and that's what we're talking about with those bluesy 7th chords. Major 3rd, but a flat 7 or a minor 7th. Got it. So now we got the major 7th, okay? C major 7, nice floaty sound, jazzy sound, right? Now, the question was from Kenneth, can you take the C note off the A string? Yes, absolutely. You can play that chord. I'm just adding on a lower 5th on the chord to make it a little bit thicker, but you can pull that right off and just strum from the D string all the way up and make the F the true root of the chord. Make sense? Cool? All right, so I highly recommend spend some time with this 16th note strum pattern because it's used a lot. And once you sort of get the hang of, how to keep this going and just strum some of the upstrokes, strum some of the downstrokes, you're going to find it really valuable to keep your timing nice and strong and add a little bit of texture instead of, just doing this kind of thing. Sometimes that's what the song calls for, but a lot of times we want to just add something a little more texture to it, right? Excellent. All right. Hope you're hanging with it. We're moving on to exercise 4, pentatonic scales. So I've worked this in to show you sort of the, I guess, I don't know if extended is the right word for this. I tend to think of this as the diagonal pentatonic scale, and I've chosen A minor, and it goes something like this. You go, wow. Let's try that once again. I can't do it. All right, so clearly I've got to practice this a lot more. But basically, this is 3 octaves of the A minor pentatonic scale. And it moves up diagonally, which is very useful in your coming up with solos, coming up with leads, coming up with riffs, coming up with melodies, whatever you want to do on the guitar using this particular scale, the pentatonic minor, which is one of the first ones we learn. We usually learn it in one position, right? Okay, but you can learn it in this diagonal fashion. Okay, and here it is in 1. When you look at, so I've sort of made this more into an exercise, but the actual notes of the scale here, we start on the A note, 5th fret of the low string, okay? It's going to go 5th fret, and then the next string is going to go 3, 5, 7, okay? And then on the D string or the 4th string, it's going to go 5, 7. That gives you the full scale from root to octave root. Okay? There's 5 notes in this scale. In this case, A, C, D, E, G. Those are your 5 notes. And then when you hit the 7th fret of the 4th string, that's your A note up an octave. Okay? Note what I do here. When I start on the 5th fret here, part of this exercise is to go down to a G note and then back up to the root note. That's just to show you that you've got a note below the root that you can use in this position, right? We got to know where the notes are in any position. We want to be able to use these notes, right? Okay, so this exercise adds in a slide and it adds in a hammer-on. So it goes like this. So I'm adding the slide in to change positions. Do you see how I get to the third, then the fifth fret of the fifth string? I'm sliding up 2 frets with my using my ring finger for that. And then on the next string, the 5th to the 7th, I'm doing a hammer-on. So some cool little techniques to throw in there. These are what we call expressive techniques, something to just add a little more texture, a little more expressiveness to what you're playing. So okay, and then where it goes next is it plays the exact same thing, but up the next octave, right? So if I start halfway through that first bar, okay, it's exactly the same thing, but up 2 frets, up a string set, or up a couple strings, and you've got to watch out for that pesky B string, because you have to compensate and go up an extra fret because the B string is tuned flat. So otherwise this would be, more or less symmetrical until we get up here. Okay, so there we go. I'm just clunking all over the place, guys. I apologize. All right, so once we get up there, 10th fret of the B string, that's our higher A note. Okay, so we're going to do the last bit is sort of adjusted across 2 strings. Okay, so you can see that it's 8 and 10th fret is the root note here, but you've got the 8th note below it, 2 frets below it on the B string. Right on. And then 8, 10, and 12 on the high string. Kind of go up and come back down and end off on that A note. So let's see. Now check out this part. It's a little bit trickier because you've got to slide up 10 to 12, but then you're not picking and sliding back down to 10 and then pulling off to 8. So that's a little bit tricky. Okay, and once you get to the 10th fret of the B string, add some vibrato, however it is you do it. Right? So you're making it kind of into a little more of a melodic lick-like thing, although all you're really doing is just flowing through that scale in 3 octaves. Okay? There we go. I played it. Yay. Okay, great. So 4B is the major version of this, and I switched to C major, the relative major of A minor, okay? So what that means is that you're using the exact same scale notes and the same patterns. It's just that now you're thinking in C major, so your root notes are in different spots, okay? So now I'm playing the same scale patterns, but I'm starting on the C root, okay? And if we're thinking major pentatonic, that scale pattern goes 3rd, 5th, 7th on the A string, 5th and 7th on the D string, and the octave root on the G string, 5th fret. Now, the sound of the major pentatonic scale is the melody from My Girl. So that's a great little way to sort of double check with your ear that you're playing the right notes in this scale. All right, so I did sort of a similar thing that I did in 4A and applied it to 4B, but it's a little bit different because we're thinking C major pentatonic, the relative major. Even though these are the same notes, you want to sort of resolve around that C note instead of the A note when you were playing A minor pentatonic. So okay, once again, it's just the same lick played 3 times in 3 different octaves. So it's like this. Okay, that's the first one. And once again, I'm showing you we're starting on the C note, but there's notes below here. And even you could even add in the G note if you wanted to. Right? So that's sort of how we use these shapes a little bit. You want to know where those notes are. Okay, so. Okay, once we get up there, then I'm repeating the pattern. Okay, cool. Last one is a little bit different. But we still got that slide up and down, pull off, and then back to the A note, 10th fret of the B, back to the 8th fret of the high string, the C note. You can add a little bit of vibrato on that. All right, so 2 really cool little exercises just to get this diagonal version of the pentatonic scales under your fingers a little bit. Understand how you can start low, move high, start high, move low, whatever it is you want to do with it. Know how to go up and down these particular patterns. And it gets you using a lot more of the fretboard than just if you're just locked into that, you know. Right? Excellent, cool. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging in. Everybody's hanging in very well tonight, so I appreciate it. Okay, exercise 5. Thought I would show you some upper triads that are really useful. This is just a 1-4-5 chord progression in the key of G. And so what I've tabbed out for you are some triad shapes for, if we're in the key of G, then the 1 chord is the G chord, right? That's our home chord. And then we've also got the 4 chord is a C and the 5 chord is a D. So we're working with G, C, D chords, and I've put it to a ska rhythm. Okay, ska is a faster tempo, kind of high energy stylistic thing, which you kind of need to have a few cool little skills on the guitar to be able to pull it off. And so this is great. Even if you're not into ska, this is well worth your time messing around with this and trying to get these techniques under your fingers, because they're very useful in not just ska, but everywhere else. Okay, so the first thing you'll see is that we've got these X's on the strings. And what these X's mean is a muted strum. So we're actually doing a downstroke there, but we're not fretting anything. We're just sort of holding the strings and making sure that nothing rings out. And then you'll see on the upstroke, we are grabbing a chord shape. This one is the upper part of a G major bar chord. So I've got the 3rd fret of the top 2 strings, 4th fret of the 3rd string. So let's just practice that first bar a little bit. Now, another thing that I didn't put into the tab here is that we're doing all upstrokes, but we're also sort of cutting off the chord quickly. So it's got more of a staccato sound. So instead of, it's more like this. Now notice I've got my down up going nice and consistent. The downstroke, I'm lifting off the frets but not off the strings. And then for the upstroke, I'm pressing down onto the frets, but cutting it up, but releasing the pressure quite quickly after I strum it. What's the best way to figure out what fingers to use? Just experiment. I really feel like the index finger on the top two strings and the middle finger on the third string. If you wanted to, you could go to the, did I say middle finger? Middle finger on the third string. If you wanted to, you could experiment with the ring finger there. That actually might make it a little bit easier to mute because you've got your middle finger to kind of dampen the strings in between. Okay, so you want to go slow with this at first because if you haven't tried this before, this is really difficult to kind of get under there a little bit. So and the timing on this is a 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2. Okay, so that's the idea with this. Now, this is what we call an upper triad of a chord. In this case, it's a G major chord. It's got all the notes that make G major. You've got a G. This particular shape has the root up top. The root is the highest note, the fifth, and the major third. Okay. You'll know it from the bar chord shape. If you just forgot about the low three strings, you could play the top three strings and have the more compact version of a G major chord, right? Okay, we go to the second bar, and for the next two beats, we're going to go to a C major chord. And this is tabbed out the 5th fret of the G and B, 3rd fret of the high string. Now I've got a C note, 5th fret of the 3rd string, E note, 5th fret of the B string of the 2nd string, and then the G, 3rd fret of the high string. That goes root, major, 3rd, 5th. So in this case, this particular triad shape has the root on the bottom. Okay, this is another major bar chord, major triad shape. Sorry, triad. 3 notes. And then to get to the 4 chord, we're just moving it up 2 frets. So it will be like. So if you put together the first 2 bars, sounds like this. Okay. For the fingers, for the second bar of chord shapes, I'm again using the index finger up top and then the ring and then pinky on the 3rd and 2nd string respectively, right? Now hold the phone here, 3rd bar, I'm going to a G chord higher up. Okay, and this G chord, it's a different triad shape, but it's still a G major chord. This one's the 7th fret of the 3rd, 8th fret of the B, 7th fret of the high string. This time the root, G, is in the middle on the B string. I've got a lower 5th and the major 3rd up top. Okay, so in that 3rd bar, I'm playing this particular triad shape. Right? 4th bar, it goes up to the 8th fret of the top 2 strings and 9th fret of the 3rd string. This is the same shape that we used down in the 3rd position for G. This time we're up in the 8th position, so that's going to be C, C major right there. And then I'm going to come back and grab that previous chord shape for the D chord. So I'm showing you how you can take these upper triad shapes and you could go all the way up the neck and come back down all the way up the fretboard. For example, I'm going to play this particular rhythm part as it's written, okay? Oh, thanks, Eddie. Yes, look at the, if you expand out the description underneath this video, there should be a link to the PDF. Hopefully you're on a computer. I know that comes up if you check it out. Okay, so. All right, that's how it's written. Kind of went up a little bit, played with some different triad shapes, came back down, okay? Let me show you how you could play this if you just went all the way up the fretboard and came back using these triad shapes. Okay, so I just went up a full octave using triad shapes for each chord, okay? Sounds a little bit like reggae. If I did it faster. Okay, that's more the ska thing, right? I probably should put on there reggae because it is a little more reggae to just go. That's a faster reggae, even though it's some of the slow reggae is probably a little more slower than that. All right. So the thing about ska is that it definitely has it's got more of that muted strum sound. Cool. All right. That is a ska rhythm, ska reggae type rhythm, depending on the tempo of it. Are you using muting with the fretting hand or is it palm muting? No, it's all fretting hand. Okay. I am sort of dampening down a little bit, like as I strum. This part of it is sort of catching the low strings, right? Because I'm only really fretting the high strings. So I am on the downstroke. I'm sort of grabbing that a little bit like that. And so I'm turning in this part of the hand to kind of get the lower part. But also to make that staccato type sound on the chord, you want to press down just as you're doing the upstroke on the chord, but then sort of release the pressure, but don't pull the fingers off the strings. You're just releasing the pressure off of the strings. Absolutely, Glenn. For any of this stuff, probably should have mentioned it a little more often, but any of these exercises, any of these type of things, very helpful to do this with a metronome. Okay, set it nice and slow and just make sure that you're doing stuff correctly and get it under your fingers with lots of repetition, slowly checking yourself against a metronome. Really lock in with it. Okay, but yeah, we want to play it on the upstroke. That's where like I'm picking both of those, right? But do you see where I've got my fingers? I'm holding the strings on the top and then just pressing down when I want the chord to sound, which is on the upstroke. Like that, right? And then when I get going, I'm doing a little more muting with this hand, okay? Glenn, the speed that you set your metronome at is the speed that you can comfortably play this correctly, okay? Anything faster where you're kind of stumbling on it a little bit or it's not quite lining up, you need to go slower. And it's okay to go super slow in the beginning and get this under your fingers with lots of repetition and just work your way to kind of increasing the metronome as you get the skills, right, to be able to hang in there with it. Okay. All right. Exercise 6. We've got a couple just ways to think about playing pentatonic scale descending. And this is just in one position. I wanted to show you the difference between groups of 6 and groups of 5 sequences. So we've got yes, Travis, the PDF will stay here. And also, I think with all of these YouTube lives, you'll be able to watch the video again as well. I mean, it'll be up on YouTube here for we have no plans to take these down, so it'll be up here. And yes, I will leave the link. Okay. So you can definitely search for this live stream if you're away from the computer right now and get the PDF at some point. Right on. Okay, so E minor pentatonic. I'm using the E minor pentatonic box, 12th position. And I'm going in groups of 6, starting up top. Okay, you can see that I'm playing 3 strings at a time, 2 notes per string. And then I'm going back to the B string and doing the next 3 strings coming down. So all right, great thing to work on your alternate picking with. And because it's 2 per string, it's an even number of picks. So each time you change strings, you'll be doing it on a downstroke. But I want you to kind of feel it in groups of 6. So we're sort of accenting the first note of each of the groups of 6. So okay. One more time, a little bit fat. Let's see if I can get it. Okay. So you can get lightning fast if you've got some skills, right? And you do some speed building. This is a great lightning fast lick. That I can't do lightning fast, but I can get it going, you know. Okay. Susan, absolutely. I encourage you to do that. Of course, whatever you can do to just keep going and not causing any more damage out of the fretting hand for sure. So, but yeah, you can work on picking all sorts of exercises without even getting the fretting hand involved. Okay. So group of 6, one more time. Okay, and of course, you can apply this to any scale that you want to. This is just E minor pentatonic box, okay? But what I want you to see is the very next bar, I'm going to do groups of 5. So now I'm going. Okay, so each chunk of those 5 now, if I start to do it together, so has a totally different sound. You're doing groups of 5. So you're cramming, like in the previous bar, for every click of the metronome, you're playing 6 notes, right? And you can feel that as more of a triplet feel. But when you go to these groups of 5, okay, you have to make it work 5 subdivisions per click of the metronome. Okay, and you can get this one going. Oh, by the way, I changed that top note because I think it sounds a little bit cooler, a little more Eric Johnson-y. And by the way, Joe Bonamassa, Eric Johnson, they love the group of 5. Okay, that's how they get that sort of different sound that they got going on when they play really fast. It's groups of 5 a lot of times. Okay, so if I do it not picking, but I do pull-offs, I can do it a lot faster. Okay, you get that sound going on. Okay, so it's really cool. It has a totally different thing to it. So just wanted to show you sort of the difference a little bit. Okay, and of course, any kind of yeah, Charlie, I actually did that on purpose. It's not. It's actually makes it E minor. It makes it a note out of straight E natural minor. But I actually started on that note because of the Joe Bonamassa and Eric Johnson thing. They love the 9. That's actually the 9 in relation to the E, right? So, okay. Okay. So. Okay. Cool. Anyway, I should have probably explained that on the tab, but there you go. All right. So we're running into overtime, but I'm happy to do the final exercise here. Okay. Which is some sweep picking. And I am not a sweep picking expert, but these are some things, these cool shapes that you can mess around with a little bit. And the idea here is that we're playing chord arpeggios. And in this case, the first one's A minor. Okay, so I'm playing all notes of A minor going up and down. Whoop. And what I'm doing is I'm starting off, as I go up the strings, I'm doing downstrokes. Each time I cross a string, I'm playing a downstroke. And then when I get up top, I'm switching to upstrokes and coming back down. Okay. So we're adding in a hammer-on off the top and then a pull-off at the end and a pull-off up top. So okay, that's going to work for any minor shape. Oh, Andre, going back, how do you go from fret 14 on the D string to 14 on the G in the group of 5? So in the previous exercise, I want to answer this. It's the finger roll, okay? Right? You can flatten down that finger. So in this case, it's basically this, the finger roll, okay? I'm using the middle finger there because I'm higher up the neck. Okay, you could also use your pinky and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, finger roll is, I think I talked about it actually in the last couple of weeks, if not like the previous guitar workout, but super valuable. And in fact, we need to do finger rolling here in these sweep picking exercises too. Okay. It's the same situation. I'm coming back down. 14th fret on the G going to the D string. And so as you pick one, you're flatter, and then as you move to pick the lower note, you curl it up. And it cuts off the higher note. Okay? All right, and so a similar, in the last bar here, a similar one for a major chord. In this case, G major. So it's a little bit more of a stretch with that first hammer on, 10 to 14 on the A. And then total finger roll here, one finger on the D, G, and B string, right? That's a G major triad. And then 10 to 15 up top, a little bit of a stretch. Okay. Notice the key to sweep picking is this, okay? It's not individual picking. It's like a one fluid motion up and down. Okay? Something like that. Okay, just a little bit of a primer. I'm not a sweep picking expert, but just wanted to throw it out there, something a little bit different. We haven't covered any real sweep picking type stuff on here. So mess around with it a little bit, and hopefully you might get some fun out of it. But there you go. Went over time tonight. I appreciate everybody hanging out for the duration. I hope you got something out of these exercises, seeing some stuff that you can work on a little bit. Always use a metronome if you can. And always experiment with changing up these exercises. Change up the scales, play them with different chord shapes all over the neck, if it's something like that. Okay. Right on. Appreciate it. Hey, thanks so much, everybody, for dropping in. And we'll be back same time next Friday. Excellent. Cool, cool, cool. I appreciate it so much. And of course, the link should stay active down here. So if you didn't get a chance to download it, it'll be on there. All right. Cool. Well, thanks for the kind words, everybody. Take care. Have a great week. We'll see you next Friday, same time. All right. Take care. All right, Scotland. Excellent. Take care, everybody. See ya.